This audiobook is to help you read along your text of Higher Secondary Second Year Commerce by Government of Tamil Nadu syllabus. So in Commerce, Unit 1, it is Management Process. And in this video, you will be reading along with me the principles of management, that is Chapter 1. Management Process. Chapter 1, Principles of Management, where the learning objectives is to enable the student to understand the concept of management, definitions of management, management an art or science, management versus administration, management process or functions, principles of scientific management, principles of modern management, span of management. So, management is part and parcel of our day to day life. The practice of management could be found in our entire endeavor, whether we are in a playground or library or classroom or hostel, and so on, wherein we plan many of our actions and execute them in a systematic manner to arrive at the desired results. So, management is goal oriented and it is an art of getting things done with and through others. The practice of management helps to achieve the organizational mission and determines the future of business enterprises. In a way, the success or otherwise of an organization or an individual is more decided by the way they manage their functions, duties, and responsibilities. So it goes without saying that management is all the more important in organizational life in any part of the world. It is a global and universal concept. Concept of management. The management concept can be understood from its profound characteristics, features as follows. Number one, body of knowledge. Management has now developed into a specialized body of management theory and philosophy. Management literature is growing in all countries. In fact, management knowledge is the best passport to enter the world of employment, either in business world or government or private. Number two, management tools. Tools of management has been developed such as accounting, business law, psychology, statistics, econometrics, data processing, etc. These branches of management profession have enhanced the particular utility of the science of management. Number three, as separate discipline. Management studies in many universities and institutions of higher learning are recognized as a separate discipline. Since 1951, many specialized schools of management offer master's degree in business management and administration. Seminars, special courses, training programs are becoming fashionable and popular for orientation and retaining in management areas. Example, export management, personnel management, general management, production management, marketing management, financial management, etc. Number four, specialization. There is a growing tendency to select and appoint highly qualified, trained, and experienced persons to manage the business in each functional areas of management. Thus, we have today an increasing tendency in favor of management by experts or professionals. Number five, code of conduct. Enlightened businessmen have recognized that business management is a social institution and it has social responsibility to be fulfilled towards customers, employees, and the public or community. Corporations have now social conscience and awareness. Consumer oriented marketing concept is the reflection of a corporate code of conduct. Pressure of consumerism, trade, unionism, public opinion, and legalization are definitely inducing the management to evolve a code of ethics. No longer buyer beware is ruling the exchange relations in the market. At present, seller beware is in place of buyer beware, influencing market practices. Number six, professional association. The business management associations in many countries to promote the spread of knowledge in all management areas and to build up the bright public image of managerial profession. Now, definitions of management. Management is a distinct ongoing process of allocating inputs of an organization, human and economic resources, by typical managerial functions: planning, organizing, directing, and controlling, for the purpose of achieving stated objectives, which are output of goods and services desired by its customers or environment. In the process, work is performed with and through personnel or the organization in an ever changing business environment. In order to manage is a is to forecast, to plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate, and to control, by Henry Fayol. Management is a multipurpose organ that manages a business and manages managers and manages worker and work, by Peter F. Drucker. The image that you see is Henry Fayol, and the image that you see beneath is Peter F. Drucker. Now, Drucker stresses three jobs of management: managing a business, number two, managing manager, number three, managing workers and work. Even if one is omitted, it would not have employment, or sorry, even if one is omitted, it would not have management anymore, and it would also would not have a business enterprise or an industrial society. According to Drucker, the manager has to balance and integrate three major jobs of a business enterprise as mentioned above. Hence, a manager is a dynamic and life giving element in every business. Without efficient management, it cannot be secure the best allocation and utilization of human, material, and financial resources. Management is an art or science. There is always a discussion about the nature of management, whether it is an art of doing things or it is a pure science of getting things done. It would be useful to explain the nature of management in brief as under. Management is an inexact science because in pure science the principles are put into test in a laboratory and they are either proved or disproved exactly and precisely. For example, plant leaves have starch in them, which can be proved or disproved in a botany lab. Similarly, the management principles can be put to test in an organization where men, machine, money, and material, four M's, are particularly integrated towards achieving some chosen organizational goals. These principles cannot be exactly proved or disproved either, as they tend to be flexible to change environment, policies, or practical difficulties which synchronize them together. So, management can be described as an inexact science. Everyone believes that management is an art. No, it is not an art in toto, because the concept of art denotes the learning of skills and practicing them in the day to day life, like a mason or a carpenter, a mechanic or a musician, being able to perform their respective art they learned by way of skill display before anybody under any circumstances. But the concept of management involves a set of required skills for any one designated as a manager. But the level or span of their managerial skills would vary from person to person and individual to individual, irrespective of the countries they belonged to. The nature of the administrative and managerial skills of our former Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru cannot be compared to his counterpart and his own daughter, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. So the management is not an exact art of doing things. The art of management is fully reflected in the decision making capacity of a manager. Judgment and imagination are essential even in a computerized economy. A computer cannot replace a manager in decision making. A professional manager is one who specializes in the work of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling the efforts of others and does so through systematic use of classified knowledge, a common vocabulary, and principles, and who subscribes to the standards of practice and code of ethics established by recognized body. Lewis A. Allen. To conclude, management is neither a science nor an art, but a combination of both, requiring people holding managerial positions to apply the scientific management principles and displaying popular managerial skills to accomplish the organizational goals as efficiently and as quickly as possible so as to be competitive in the globalized environment of business. Management is different from administration. One should be able to distinguish between management and administration, as the concepts are interchangeably used in the world of business today. While management is more effective in nature, the concept of administration denotes the art of decision making at the top and evolving policies of the business undertakings, either by the governments of various countries or the respective promoters of such business enterprises. Management is all about plans and actions, but administration is concerned with framing policies and setting objectives. The manager looks after the management of the organization, whereas administrator is responsible for the administration of the organization. Management focuses on managing people and their work. So it is concluded that administration is ought to take business decisions while the management need to execute them to get things done with and through other functional staff working under them who are called employees of the same organization. For example, the board of directors with the CEO or MD may be called administration, while the managers of various units like production, marketing, finance, accounting, distribution, and research and development may be called management of the said organization. Theoretically, it can be said that both are different terms, but practically it is found that the terms are more or less same. A manager performs both administrative, and functional activities. Although the managers who are working on the topmost level are said to be part of administration, the managers working on the middle or lower level represents management. So it could be concluded that administration is above management. Management process. The substance of management should be identified as a process. A process is something that when a person does in the context of his individual duties and responsibilities assigned by his or her immediate higher authority. A process also implies ongoing and unceasing cyclical operations. In management, there is a planning action control cycle defining the concept must incorporate this management cycle. A process indicates the dynamic nature of management. It also implies that change is a constant reality of organizational life, and management is the management of change. Lastly, management is regarded as a social process because it is directly concerned with management of human resources in order to secure cooperation and teamwork from the people in their performance. There are twin process, there are twin purposes of the management process. Number one, maximum productivity or profitability, and number two, maximum human welfare and satisfaction. There are five parts of management as a process. First, the coordination of resources. Second, the performance of managerial functions as a means of achieving coordination. Third, establishing the objective or purpose of management process. That is, it must be purposeful managerial activity. The fourth aspect is that management is a social process, and the fifth is its cyclic nature. So let us look at management is coordination. Number one, the manager of an enterprise must effectively coordinate all activities and resources of the organization, namely men, machine, materials, and money, the four M's of management. Number two, management is a process. The manager achieves proper coordination of resources by means of managerial function of planning, organizing, staffing, directing, or leading and motivating and controlling. Management is a purposive process. It is directed towards the achievement of predetermined goals or objectives. Without an objective, we have no distinction to reach or a path to follow to arrive at our destination. That is a goal, both management and organization. Number four, management is a social process. It is the art of getting things done through other people. Number five, management is a cyclical process. It represents planning, action, control, replanning cycle. That is an ongoing process to attain the planned goals. The difference between management and administration. So, basis for comparison is in meaning, management is an organized way of managing people and things of a business or organization is called management. Whereas the meaning of administration is the process of administering an organization by a group of people is known as administration. Authority in management is middle, or lower level, whereas authority in administration is top level. So, a role of management is in executive, whereas a role of the administration is decisive. Concern Management is concerned with policy implementation, whereas administration is concerned with policy formulation. Areas of operation of management is it works under administration, whereas the areas of operation of administration it has full control over the activities of the organization. Management applicable to profit making of the organization, that is business organization, whereas applicable of administration is government offices, military, clubs, business enterprises, hospitals, religious and educational institutions. So management decides who will do the work and how will it be done, whereas administration decides what should be done and when it should be done. So management works to putting plans and policies into action, whereas administration works towards formulation of plans, framing policies, and setting objectives. Management focuses on managing work, whereas administration focuses on making best possible allocation of limited resources. In management, the key person is a manager, whereas in administration, a key person is an administrator. So, management represents employees who work for remuneration. Administration represents owners who get a return on the capital invested by them. Management's function is executive and governing, whereas administration's function is legislative and determinative. Principles of scientific management. In the last century, organizations already had to deal with management in practice. In the early 1900s, large organizations such as production factories had to be managed too. At the time, there were only few external management tools, models, and methods available. At this juncture, Mr. Frederick Winslow Taylor brought about a scientific approach to managing the workforce after his experiments with the African and South American slaves employed in a coal field in England. His aim was absolute harmony in workplace for overall productivity of the organization. The principles of scientific management pronounced by Taylor are: management is a science, not rule of thumb. Secondly, it's harmony, not discord. Third, mental revolution. Fourth, cooperation, not individualism. Fifth, development of each and every person to his or her greater efficiency and prosperity. Now, let's look all these as in brief. Science, not a thumb rule. Number one. In order to increase organizational efficiency, the rule of thumb method should be substituted by the methods developed through science analysis of work. Rule of thumb means decision making by manager as per their personal judgments. According to Taylor, even a small production activity like loading iron sheets into boxcars can be scientifically planned. This will help in saving time as well as human energy. Decisions should be based on scientific inquiry with cause and effect relationships. This principle is concerned with selecting the best way of performing a job through the application of scientific analysis and not by intuition or hit and trial methods. The work assigned to any employee should be observed and analyzed with respect to each element or part thereof and the time involved therein so as to decide the best way of performing that work and to determine the standard output for same. Second, harmony, not discord. Taylor emphasized that there should be complete harmony between the workers and the management, since if there is any conflict between the two, it will not be beneficial either for the workers or the management. Both the management and the workers should realize the importance of each other. In order to achieve this, Taylor Taylor suggested complete mental revolution on the part of both management and workers. It means that there should be complete change in the attitude and outlook of workers and management towards each other. It should always be kept in mind that prosperity for an employer cannot exist for a long time unless it is accomplished by the prosperity of the employees of that organization and vice versa. It becomes possible by sharing a part of surplus with workers, training of employees, division of work, team spirit, positivity, attitude, sense of discipline, sincerity, etc. Management should always be ready to share the gains of the company with the workers, and the latter should provide their full cooperation and hard work for achieving organizational goals. Group action with mutual trust and understanding should be perfect understanding, the focus of working. This principle requires that there should be perfect understanding between the management and workers, and both should feel that they are part of same family. It helps to produce synergy effect since both management and workers work in unison. For example, in most of the Japanese companies, paternalistic style of management is in practice, and there is complete openness between workers and the management. Usually, workers don't go on strike, but if at all they do so, they just wear a black badge and work even more than the normal hours just to impress upon the management that their focus is on their demands as well as organizational objectives. Number three, mental revolution. The technique of mental revolution involves a change in the attitude of workers and management towards each other. Both should realize the importance of each other and should work with full cooperation. Management as well as the workers should aim to increase the profit of the organization. For this, the workers should put in their best efforts so that the company makes profit, and on the other hand, management should share part of profits with the workers. Thus, mental revolution requires a complete change in the outlook of both management and workers. There should be a spirit of togetherness between workers and management. Cooperation, not individualism. This principle is an extension of principle of harmony, not discord, and lays stress on mutual cooperation between workers and management. Cooperation, mutual confidence, sense of goodwill should prevail among both managers as well as workers. The intention is to replace internal competition with cooperation. Both management and workers should realize the importance of each other. Workers should be considered as part of management and should be allowed to take part in decision making process of the management. Management should always welcome their suggestions and should also reward them if their suggestions prove to be beneficial for the organization, which is reduction of costs or increase in production, etc. At the same time, workers should also resist from going on strike or making unnecessary demands from management. Workers should be treated as integral part of organization and be treated as integral part of organization, and all important decisions should be taken after due consultation with workers. Both of them should visualize themselves as two pillars whose soundness alone can ensure achievement of common goals of the organization. Taylor also suggested that there should be proper division of work and responsibility between the two. Management should always guide, encourage, and help the workers. Number five, development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. Efficiency of an organization also depends on the skills and capabilities of its employees to a great extent. Thus, providing training to the workers was considered essential in order to learn the best method developed through the use of scientific approach. To attain the efficiency, steps should be taken right from the process of selection of employees. Employees should be scientifically selected. The work assigned to each employee should suit his or her physical, mental, and intellectual capabilities. Efficient employees produce more to earn more. This ultimately helps to attain efficiency and prosperity for both organization and the employees. The principles of Taylor's scientific management theory became widely practiced, and the resulting cooperation between workers and managers eventually developed into the teamwork we enjoy today. While Taylorism is an pure sense, isn't practiced much today. Scientific management did provide many significant contributions to the advancements of management practice. It introduced systematic selection and training procedures. It provided a way to study workplace efficiency, and it encouraged the idea of systematic organizational design. Process of management. So, a management has a stated objectives, which is the expected outputs through a certain goals, which will be an end result, which is achieved through inputs such as men and women, machinery, materials, money, resources. These are the inputs, and which is a basic resources of any management. So the stated objectives are achieved through the inputs or the basic resources a management has through a process. And this process is by planning, organizing, directing, and controlling, which is the process of management, which is planning, organizing, directing, and controlling through a process with inputs in order to attain the stated objectives or goals of an organization as end results or outputs. Principles of modern management. The father of modern management is Mr. Henry Fayol, and according to him, there are 14 major principles of management which every manager has to practice for the success of the organization. Number one, division of work. According to this principle, the whole work is divided into small tasks. The specialization of the workforce according to the skills of a person, creating specific personal and professional development within the labor force and therefore increasing productivity, leads to specialization which increases the efficiency of labor. Number two, authority and responsibility. This is the issue of commands followed by responsibility for their consequences. Authority means the right of a supervisor to give the order to his subordinate, whereas responsibility means obligation for performance. Number three, discipline. It is obedience, proper conduct in relation to others, respect of authority, etc. It is essential for the smooth functioning of all organizations. Number four, unity of command. This principle states that each subordinate should receive orders and be accountable to one and only one superior. If an employee receives orders from more than one superior, it is likely to create confusion and conflict. Number five, unity of direction. All related activities should be put under one group. There should be one plan of action for them, and they should be under the control of one manager. Number six, subordination of individual interest to mutual interest. The management must put aside personal considerations and put company objectives firstly. Therefore, the interests of goals of the organization must prevail over the personal interests of individuals. Number seven, remuneration. Workers must be paid sufficiently as this is a chief motivation of employees and therefore greatly influences productivity. The quantum and methods of remuneration payable should be fair, reasonable, and rewarding of effort. Number eight, the degree of centralization. The amount of power wielded with the central management depends on company size. Centralization implies the concentration of decision making authority at the top management. Number nine, line of authority or scalar chain. This refers to the chain of superior ranging from top management to the lowest rank. The principle suggests that there should be a clear line of authority from top to bottom, linking all managers at all levels. Number 7. Number 10. Order. Social order ensures the fluid operation of a company through authoritative procedure. Material order ensures safety and efficiency in in the workplace. Order should be acceptable and under the rules of the company. Number 11, equity. Employees must be treated kindly and justice must be enacted to ensure a just workplace. Managers should be fair and impartial when dealing with employees, giving equal attention towards all employees. Number 12, stability of tenure of personnel. Stability of tenure of personnel is a principle stating that in order for an organization to run smoothly, personnel, especially managerial personnel, must not frequently enter and exit the organization. Number 13, initiative. Using the initiative of employees can add strength and new ideas to an organization. Initiative on the part of employees is a source of strength for organization because it provides new and better ideas. Employees are likely to take greater interest in the functioning of the organization. Number 14, Spirit D Corps, team spirit. This refers to the need of managers to ensure and develop moral in the workplace, individually and communally. Team spirit helps develop an atmosphere of mutual trust and understanding. Team spirit helps to finish the task on time. Principles of management, which has been under our discussion. Now, span of management. The span of management refers to the number of subordinates who can be managed efficiently by a superior. Simply, the manager having the group of subordinates who report him directly is called a span of management. The span of management has two implications: influences the complexities of the individual manager's job. Number two, determines the shape or configuration of the organization. The span of management is related to the horizontal level of the organizational structure. There is a wide and a narrow span of management. With the wider span, there will be less hierarchical levels, and thus the organizational structure would be flatter. Whereas with the narrow span, the hierarchical level increases, hence, the organizational structure would be tall. Both these organizational structures have their advantages and disadvantages. But however, the tall organizational structure imposes more challenges. Secondly, since the span is narrow, which means less number of subordinates under one superior requires more managers to be employed in the organization. Thus, it would be very expensive in terms of the salaries to be paid to each senior. Thirdly, with more level in the hierarchy, the communication suffers drastically. It takes a lot of time to reach the appropriate points and hence the action gets delayed. Number four, lack of coordination and control because the operating staff is far away from the top management. So, the major advantage of using this structure is that the cross communication gets facilitated. There is operative staff communicating with the top management. Also, the chance of promotion increases with the availability of several job positions. In the case of a flatter organizational structure where the span is wide leads to a more complex supervisory relationship between the manager and the subordinate. It will be very difficult for a superior to manage a large number of subordinates at a time and also may not listen to all efficiently. However, the benefit of using the wider span of management is that the number of managers get reduced in the hierarchy and thus the expense in the terms of remuneration is saved. Also, the subordinates feel relaxed and their develop their independent spirits in a free work environment where the strict supervision is absent. This ends chapter 1.